What do you make of the maneuverings we've been seeing so far this evening? And will there be another ceasefire? Is that likely?
I think we're at an inflection point at the moment. So militarily and politically, I think there is a gearing up to the next round, and both parties know that quite well. So on the one hand, the Israeli government, the Netanyahu government, is content to have released some hostages, around 104 now. It looks good. The optics look good. The military advance does not look good. And the military victory was taking over a hospital, a shifa hospital, with a lot of destruction, and turning a civilian hospital that treats mainly wounded persons into a military barrack. It does not look good in the optics. But also the release of the exchanges that happened, whether in the north or in the south, shows that Hamas is still, in terms of its command and control structure, at least it's still intact. There are ground lines of communication to be able to move captives and hostages and fighters between the south and the north of Gadda. This is still happening. So in a way, militarily, I think that the Israelis probably thinking there's more work to be done. On the Hamas side, I think there's also there's some prisoners that were released, more than we're talking now over almost 300 of them, so 3 to 1. And in many ways as well, we're probably seeing, we'll see that truth. Hamas will have a bit of reconstitution of its units, some respite, probably stocking up on for the next round in terms of weapons, munitions, systems, ground lines of communications, exits and entrances of tunnels, and so on and so forth.
You mentioned the phrase "the next round" there a couple of times. In reality, will any of this deter Israel from continuing its military onslaught in Gaza at some point?
It should, because at the moment, just to give you some figures, before this war, Gaza had a population density of 6,500 gazons per square kilometers. So in a comparative perspective, Kivobla have a population density of 63 people in each square kilometer. And when the Russians invaded, there were a lot of civilian casualties in Kivobla, in places like Irpin and Bucha and others. So multiply this by 100 in case of Gaza. And now I think you can multiply it by 200, because the UN figures is that there is 1,700,000 IDPs in Gaza now. Many of them went southwards. So we're talking now about a population density probably double of the pre-war records, so at the range of over 13,000 per square kilometers. If you drop a bomb anywhere there, a lot of people will die, and it will create more and more of these atrocities that we saw, and therefore more and more political pressures on the Israeli government.
And despite all of that, is Israel's objective of completely destroying Hamas actually feasible in reality?
It's on paper it's feasible. The Israelis will tell you that there are military solutions for some of these problems, and we've solved many problems from 1948 onwards with military means. I think it's extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult to degrade or destroy Hamas. There has been about over 6 confrontations, including 2 invasions in 2008, 2009, and 2014. Where Israel attempted to do something similar of degrading or destroying Hamas. And we saw the result. 7th of October, Hamas, according to their figures, used about 5,000 rockets and mortar shells in 20 minutes. In 2014, that was their entire arsenal in 50 days, actually. So they fired about 4,000 and something rockets and mortar shells in 50 days. So the arsenal actually was significantly upgraded in terms, at least, of the quantity, maybe not the quality, but the quantity of the weapons. So they still have some significant capabilities, and I think it will be a very tall order, that issue of totally destroying them, but we'll have to wait and see, because the war is full of surprises.